Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hello and welcome to today's presentation on the Phoenix Hawk IIC. If you were there earlier, we had a presentation on the Phoenix Hawk, which is one of the longest presentation I've had on this review series. Phoenix Hawk IIC is going to be a lot more simple. One of the problem though, a lot of the images that I've got here comes from various people who sent me images of the various Phoenix Hawk IICs. I haven't seen a whole lot of those float around yet, but apparently they're going to be more common in the near future. Someone bought a new factory or something along those lines, so you might be able to get your hands on one if so you want, which is, well, we'll have to talk about that. Some of the images as well will have to be added after the fact because, well, when I was writing everything up, some of the images, well, they were stuck in a data package. It is very difficult with the HPG network being mainly down to get all the information that we want or need. So let's get into it. When you look at updates to models from the clan to the 2C standards, it's basically machines are going to be a little bit lighter, a little bit heavier. They're going to be different. They're brand new models, basically, just inspired or based off the original model. Griffin 2C loses 15 tons compared to the regular Griffin. The Rifleman 2C goes up by 5 tons to 65. You know that the chassis on the Rifleman 2C is an original chassis of a Rifleman, just upscaled. While with the Griffin 2C, well, it's a much larger modification. Jacob Masters, count of the Steel Vipers, need a new machine in the assault range for Istoman. His scientists were, well, pretty much incompetent. Steel Vipers always been behind on almost anything. And when they design something, it works at times. And many other times, it works because it fills a role that it wasn't supposed to fill. Jacob Masters was also an aerospace fighter pilot and not a battle mech pilot, a Mechwarrior. So he had no real clue as to what a mech really needed. You looked at them and was like, yeah, I'm gonna trust whoever's going to do it. What happened is scientist Andrew Steel Viper one day showed up with a bigger version of the classic Phoenix Hawk, a 45-ton mech meant to be a scout commander. And what he brought was something that was 35 tons heavier than the original at 80 tons. Because reasons. So, as was Steel Viper fashion, the command staff just rolled with it. It's the epitome of a striker mech. It's an heavy raider. It's a capable assault scout like the Charger. He kept coming up with excuses, which were okay because you could use the mech in those different positions. But people were skeptical because, I mean, it is a massive Phoenix Hawk in the end. People did go with the flow, and a bunch of them were sold and produced, but it was really a thing that people would get to fill out the 80-ton range when they weren't able to actually get the actually good one and much cheaper one, which was the Warhammer 2C. The reason why the Phoenix Hawk 2C is stupidly expensive is because it uses a Type 79 400XL engine to get up to a speed of 86 kilometers per hour. Pretty darn fast for a 80-ton mech, and they add to that 5 jump jets so you can go up to 150 meters in the air. That makes it very mobile for a mech its size, which is useful in many ways, but ends up being dangerous in others, especially in the budgetary kind of way. On top of that, you get 10.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor, so it is fairly well protected, at least, at that point, and it has an endo-steel chassis to try to keep things still a little bit lighter. The base model has 10 double heat sinks because the machine's probably not going to run hot because it's armed with ballistics weapon. Each shoulder mounts an Ultra AC-10, and the center torso and the head mount a machine gun. Machine guns don't generate heat at all, or, well, they generate heat, but on the gun itself, so it's pretty easy to manage. And Ultra AC-10s, well, they do generate a decent amount of heat, but 10 double heat sinks will be more than enough to compensate for that. The ammo bins are super easy to reach in the back. You just pop in a little hatch, and you can just pour in the ammo with a funnel. Not that easy, but still. And the machine itself is actually pretty easy to fix if you're smart, because most of the design is using either standardized parts or simplified parts. And if you've worked on a Phoenix Hawk before, surprisingly, even though it's 80 tons rather than 45, it's quite similar. Smart people can also use those big hands on it to be used as battle fists, but clans are not well known for their physical attacks on their mechs, so you have to get a tech to actually do that for you and reinforce the actuators. The next year, in 2852, Clan Steel Viper did bring out a Mark II, which most people would think I appreciate, because it sacrifices a ton of armor and replaces all the weapons with 420 rack LRMs with 8 tons of ammo. Pretty nice, yes, and you're going to be able to do fairly long bombardment with that, but I would almost have sacrificed it 4 tons of ammo to put Artemis on all of those launchers to make the shots a little bit more accurate. It's a trade-off, not always the best one. You are a bit lightly armored as well with that, but as a bombardment machine, it's going to work well, especially if you've got good spotters in the field, which is easy enough to get with most clan units. Quickly enough, since there was the period where Omnimechs were becoming more and more prevalent, the Phoenix Hawk IIC became common in garrison and second line unit. In 3062, the Vipers got kicked out of the inner sphere and they realized they needed a bunch of new mechs weapons. What they did at that point was commission Clan Diamond Shark to help out with a variety of new Phoenix Hawk IICs using more modern technologies and tools. This led to a quick proliferation of the design, as the Diamond Sharks were happy to sell it to whoever wanted it, and they kept producing them even after the Steel Vipers were annihilated in clan space. The Mark III kit that came out in 3062 is one that I really approve of. You get a targeting computer on the design to improve accuracy on your main guns, and 12 extra double heat sinks for a total of 22. This means you're actually cool enough to shoot with those 2 heavy large laser, a medium pulse laser, and 2 small pulse lasers to take out infantry. It's got big neem energy, and it's going to deal massive amounts of damage. It's also still easy to repair. The easy to reload is not as important on a machine that doesn't use ammo. 3065, you get the Mark IV that comes out, which is another missile battery, which uses 9 tube ATMs, 4 of them. So that's quite a few, 36 ATM tubes in total, and 7 tons of ammo, mostly because you have to balance it between the 3 different types of ammo you can put on an ATM. A very decent machine. I do think it is quite functional, maybe even a little bit better than that massive LRM battery we were talking about earlier. The Phoenix Hawk IIC Mark V came out of Clan Star Adder and used a brand new Gauss technology, each shoulder having a 20 class hyper assault Gauss rifle, and to take care of infantry, it used 4 anti-personnel Gauss rifle. I am a big fan of hyper assault Gauss, and on that particular kind of setup, I don't think it's that bad. Maybe you're a little bit heavily armed for taking out infantry, but I do believe it is quite functional. You can look at the Mark VI, however, you will see that that one lacks firepower. Your main guns are a pair of plasma cannons, which don't deal damage, they just deal heat transfer, which is good against vehicles, it's good against infantry, but it's not going to be that great against other mechs, not in the long run. It's backed by 2 heavy medium lasers as well, so you do have something that does a decent amount of punch. You have a targeting computer to guide all those guns, and you get 8 improved jump jets, so you can jump 240 meters, because that's really what you want or need on a 80-ton machine. Further down the line, well, you've got the Mark VII, which actually lowers the speed to 64 kilometers per hour using a Type 81XL engine instead. And you still keep those improved jump jet, so you still get improved mobility. Not a terrible idea, but it does require a little of modification. The weapons are a pair of 10 class LBX autocannon, so you can shoot either standard slugs or clusters, which is backed by a pair of ER medium lasers and 2 Streak 4 tube SRM. This is a fantastic vehicle hunter and vehicle killer, and I don't think it's actually a bad mech. I would probably have gone with something other than the improved jump jets. I'm never a fan of them. The more I look into improved jump jets, every time I see them on a mech, I'm thinking that we could have done something with that space instead of trying to boost up mobility. But in this case, I mean, it will work, and you'll be able to get where on the sides of various vehicles to shoot those SRMs and those cluster round autocannon shots. The Mark 8, on the other hand, uses an XXL engine and 7 improved jump jets. So it is incredibly expensive. You get a Guardian ECM to keep you safe, and each side torso has an ERPPC and a pair of small pulse lasers. 16 double heat sinks on the machine will also keep you, well, I was going to say cool, but ERPPCs generate a massive amount of heat, and you have to remember that our current technology XXL engines, well, they generate heat even when you're running them on idle. This is going to be a fairly hot mech. The 2 most recent variants are actually quite fun, at least in my opinion. The Mark 9 mixes the first 2 marks of the design. The right side has a 2-ton ammo-fed Ultra AC-10, while the left side has a pair of LRM-20s with anti-infantry machine guns as well. It's good in a multitude of ways. It's easy to reload like all the other Phoenix Hawk IICs, and being an hybrid between the 2 designs, well, you can use it to do a variety of things. The Mark 10, on the other hand, is an actual brawler, which uses a pair of ER large lasers and 6 ER medium lasers to become a bad version and an expensive version of your Blackhawk. To keep you cool, you've got the 16 double heat sinks, and this is one of those mechs where I would have gone, you know, let's put triple strength Myomer on there because it also carries a hatchet. That's where things get very funny, and with a hatchet and all those lasers, I think triple strength Myomer would have been really fun. The problem is sourcing triple strength Myomer as a clan is not that easy. Who knows, we might see a Mark 10.5 in the future. I have a bit of a hard time with the Phoenix Hawk IIC in the end. A few of the later marks are pretty good. Even the original, I think, can be pretty decent. But really, whenever you get to the super mobile versions in the end with the improved jump jets, they're pretty terrible. Another of the big problem is just how expensive those things can run you. You can get 2 Warhammer 2Cs for the same price as a Hawk 2C. And I would believe that most commanders would prefer those Warhammer 2Cs. Will people keep building them? Well, probably, because people keep buying them. The Mark 7 is a little bit cheaper in a way, and it's still pretty mobile. The 2 newer ones, especially the Brawler one, could be a whole lot of fun. And if someone does manage to stick triple strength Myomer on there, it's going to be expensive, but you're going to have something running around with a hatchet, able to basically take out the side torso in a single swing. On most of the models, make sure that you get the forearms reinforced, have someone look the machine over, modify the arm actuators to be able to punch pretty well, and you're going to have a nice brawling machine in most cases. So I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day. I thank you for listening to me for so long, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.